what if I told you that more homes went under contract this week than they did this time last year? Now, some people might say, gosh, does that mean there's too much demand back in the market? And as you can see from the slide here, the total inventory of homes for sale, the goal is to have this amount of normalized demand. The challenge of what we're running into, which is why these homes are becoming contracted or pending, is because inventory fell by another 2.5%, all the way down to 418,000 homes. As you can see, in this time, 2019, we had 819,000 available inventory homes for sale for people to choose from. So one of the challenges that we're running into is that at this time, traditionally, we start to see that red line start growing inventory as the hot new listings come to the market. And throughout the first and second quarter, some of these homes start to stay on the market, and that's where the inventory continues to build. But as you can see, normal years, it would climb, but right now, because we saw another 2.5% drop, and that's been consistent really over the last 4 weeks, we expect this to continue for several more weeks until maybe we hit the bottom and start coming up with available inventory. But a lot of that will be based off of questions that we would ask many of you, which is, as a buyer, I'm sure that you are still price sensitive, and consumers are price sensitive. This time last year, with the limited inventory and the absolutely low interest rates, many people had a higher threshold for affordability. Now, the consumer is price sensitive, but they're still buying homes and they're still heavily interested in purchasing properties. Now, the challenge with that, as you can see here in the weekly new inventory, is that we saw about 68,000 new listings come to market with about 18,000 immediate sales. Now, this is comparing this time last year from, as you can see, 74,000 new listings with 23,000 immediate sales. So still 7% fewer new listings come in the market, as we saw very few new listings come to the market at this time last year. There are no signs of a lot of inventory coming to the market, which is the challenge for many of the people who were somewhat bearish on what would be happening in the real estate market. Now, remember, when you look at the median home list price on the graph here, we're up to 424,000, but you could kind of see that line of new listing price this year and overall price of new listings this week last year. The big difference really is that line between the two is starting to shrink. And the reason being is, if you look at kind of January 2022, you see how quick that red line was elevating, meaning the amount of median price appreciation, or the amount that homes were appreciating, was quite dramatic, quite fast. We're seeing a very slow month over month increase now. So that number, as we start looking at year over year, remember, many experts are thinking that year over year, we may remain flat. And that's because, well, you have to remember what happened with home prices in many markets from April all the way till the end of the year to maybe even into this time right now. Now, locally in our market, we're starting to see upwards to 3%, 2% month over month appreciation, which is really kind of digging people out of that year over year gap to pricing that we actually saw. Year over year numbers were down. And we were talking about this on last week's, but as you can see, many people are still sensitive to affordability. However, they're still buying. And while that inventory continues to remain low, it will help put pressure on driving that month over month appreciation of pricing upward. Now, as you can see here, the total homes that are pending, 326,000 total pending this week. Again, as you look at 404 total in contract, all right, last year at this period of time, again, the existing pending count to the new pending count, you can see from that graph, we are up 70,000 newly pending, which is 1.3% more than last year. So even though there are less transactions occurring, if you take this just 326 to 400,000, well, you could take about a 70,000 gap, which again is a double digit amount of homes that are not transacting, meaning sales. But the nice part with this is that the newly pending is more than this time last year, meaning 1.3% with 70,000 newly listed homes going under contract. And why is that? Is because, as you can see, many of these properties do not need to have a price reduction in order to get sold. The price reductions hitting a low for the year was 31%. And as you start looking at that line is starting to become a little bit more flat on that red line, that's because usually the market brings new listings at a higher rate throughout the second quarter or into March. And when those don't sell, because traditionally we're looking at right now 30, 40, 60 days for the average days on market. But we know that some of these homes, 1 or 2 out of 5, if priced well, conditioned, and highly desirable, they're coming off the market quite quickly. But 31%, as you can see from normalized years, if we go back to 2019, 18, 17, we're really starting to get closer to a 1 to 3% difference really around the amount of price decreases that are needed for the average U.S. single family home. So as we continue to see that number increase or potentially decrease if we continue to not see new inventory, but this is again another sign that home prices, we don't see a flood of inventory coming and we don't see a need for price reductions to get those sold, which would be another good sign that home prices are still going to continue to rise month over month. So as always, we want to make sure that every single week, since so much has changed, you don't have to go on a monthly basis without figuring out what's really happening with real estate. So that way, while you're having those good conversations with your loved ones, you're thinking maybes, because, and your situations start to change, is that this type of information can help you figure out what's best for your family. As we know, timing the market would be great, but spending time learning about it is the way people make great decisions when it comes to real estate. And from me to you, if you need a 15 to 30 minute strategy session, let me know, and I'm always happy to help. And if you need help all across the nation, please let me know, as I will connect you with the top 1% of agents to help you with your real estate needs and questions. Remember, keeping current matters, and for us, that's what matters most.